What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Young Money Investments. In today's video, we're going to switch up the style a little bit. We are going to be talking about the Porsche Taycan, the supposed, according to Doug DeMuro, Tesla Model S killer. We're going to be talking about his review video. I want to talk to you about a lot of the points and a lot of the facts that I think he missed because he is not a Tesla owner in general. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how this is going to affect the stock price, because I think honestly and truly, this Porsche is no match for the Tesla. Let's just check out this review video because Doug's got a lot of things wrong. Good guy, but he's got a lot of things wrong, all today on Young Money Investments. Alright, you guys, so I think one of the most important things to remember about this video is obviously the Porsche has been very hyped and very talked about. I think it's going to be interesting to see some of the points that Doug kind of points out in this video. But as I said, Doug is definitely more of a ICE guy. He's definitely more of an internal combustion engine type of person. He's not really big on electric cars. He's never been very positive when he did his Model X review. His very first Model 3 review wasn't all that positive. His Model 3 review was Model 3 performance review was decently, promising. But again, he said that the styling was bland and things like that. So a lot of the things that Doug says about Teslas are kind of lackluster. And so I think coming from him to kind of my perspective in owning a Tesla, I see a lot of very, very, very good things with Tesla. Let's roll the video.
Tesla fans have barely even noticed the arrival of the Audi e-tron or the Jaguar I-Pace. They just don't bring as much excitement and hype as Tesla commands.
And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that Tesla commands the type of hype that it does. It's because the range is there. It's because the infrastructure with the charging network is there. There is a reason. Tesla knows how to develop and then drop and release products, whereas a lot of these other car companies just don't know how to do it. One more thing, you guys, before we continue, if you will hit that thumbs up button, I would greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel with the YouTube algorithm, helps the channel to grow, and I am trying my hardest. I'd greatly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And if you just decide not to, that's totally fine too, but I really would appreciate it.
Porsche first announced the Taycan as a concept car called the Mission E back in 2015.
Which looks pretty cool.
In the car then. But when Porsche announced it was going into production, it was a mad rush to Porsche dealers to place orders. Suddenly, there was a new electric car that everyone was interested in.
Which is kind of funny considering, take a look right here. We have a news article here on The Driven, which came out, this was back in July 2019 or July 31st, pardon me. This says, with just over a month left until its global debut, pre-orders of the Porsche Taycan electric car, which is understood to be released in 3 variants, have surged to 30,000. They've surged to 30,000 pre-orders? You guys, the Tesla Cybertruck did more than that in 48 hours. It did over 150,000 pre-orders in the first 2 days, and we are now about 2 weeks out, and we're sitting at over 250,000 pre-orders for that truck. So we're talking about 30,000 pre-orders for this Porsche electric vehicle compared to the Model 3, which again was over, I believe, at least over a quarter million vehicles pre-ordered, if not over, I think it could have even been well into the 400,000 or 500,000 vehicle mark. So you're talking about 30,000, and Doug's talking about, it's just surging and so popular. That's not even a drop in the bucket when you compare it to the pre-orders that Tesla's had.
Then there's this, the king of the hill, the Taycan Turbo S with 750 horsepower.
That also costs $185,000. $185,000.
6 seconds. Of course, all this comes at a price.
There we go. Here's the truth.
The Taycan Turbo S starts around $185,000 with similar range.
$185,000.
Tesla, the long-range Model S, currently offers about 370 miles between charges. But there's more to this car than...
So we're talking about a price tag that's roughly, roughly about $70,000 cheaper for one of the performance P100D models or variants of the Model S that gets way more range, and it's still $70,000, roughly $70,000 cheaper. Like, and it's a competitor?
The charge port is right here, and you're thinking like, how do you open it? Do you push on it? Slide open? No. It turns out this little black piece protruding next to the charge port is a sensor. You slide your hand underneath the sensor, and the charge port pops open and goes into the fender instead of just swinging open and looking ugly like a fuel door or the charge port in most cars. You want the charge port to close? Same process the other direction. Just slide your fingers back under the little black sensor and the charge port door closes right up. This operation is by far the slickest of any charge port door I've seen in any electric car.
All right, I'll give it that. The charge port, cool. Definitely a little cooler than the Tesla, but it's a charge port door. Again, cool, but it's a charge port door.
And one other interesting item on that lower screen, in the bottom left of the screen, you have the camera button. If you press that, it pulls up the camera system in this car, and one of the options is a 360-degree exterior camera. So it basically shows your car, and then it shows everything happening around it, like there's some sort of camera helicopter hovering around your car. It's a really, really good system. You can see it from various different angles, and I really like it. I will say this system is not quite as good.
One of the things I will say about the Tesla is that they do not have this cool little 3D image or feature that the Porsche has, and I think Mercedes also has this feature. I know BMW for sure does have this feature, and it's actually really good. Teslas don't have that. That is something that, again, 1 point goes to Porsche over the Tesla in terms of how this camera system can kind of piece together and stitch together all these images.
Diffuse will kind of blow air throughout the cabin. Focus will move the climate vents and focus them on you, but my favorite is individual because you get to set the positioning of the climate vents.
Oh, I wonder where we've seen this before. Could it be on a Tesla vehicle? Could they have taken this from a Tesla vehicle? Absolutely. This comes straight out of the Model 3. This is a Tesla feature that Porsche decided to rip off.
Feel the collective eye roll for people who just want a simple little lever on the vents themselves. But I guess this is how Porsche will be addressing climate vent adjustments in the future.
That's not how Porsche adjusts climate vents in the future. That's how Tesla did it, and Porsche decided to copy them. Again, little things that Doug does not pay attention to or does not know in regards to the Tesla vehicles.
The other interesting new item with the navigation system is how you enter a destination. You go to search, which allows you to type in an address or city, whatever, and then you can actually hand write it using that empty spot on the lower screen. So you can write in whatever you want. The car will pick up your writing most of the time.
Pretty cool feature. One of those things Tesla does not currently have, although you can draw and make pictures and everything on the Tesla. That's one of their little Easter eggs or features that they have on there. But that's actually a nice little convenient feature, especially since you do have that middle touchscreen dash there. So again, point to Porsche.
Check this out. You turn it off and it says Taycan and shows a silhouette of the car. Pretty standard, a lot of cars do that. But then the car silhouette turns and you kind of see the light bar from behind, and then the light bar slowly fades away, and then the car is off.
Oh my gosh, can you believe how cool the car turned and changed? What a cool little feature! Oh my gosh.
And next up we move on to the back seat of the Taycan, and the first thing you notice back here is that it's sporty. There's no three-person bench seat back here. Instead, you have two individual bucket seats, and they are quite heavily bolstered. I guess the theory here is you can take your whole family on the track and they won't slosh around in their seats.
So you're telling me you're taking your whole family, but you don't have a fifth seat in a car that's $185,000? Yes, he does say that there is an option to do a 5-seater, but I'm sitting here scratching my head. The Model S can have a jump seat in the trunk, and you can have 7 passengers in that vehicle. This one comes standard with 4? I just got to question myself. Where is the practicality in a sedan? If you want sporty and fast, get a 2-door coupe, get a 911, or get the Roadster if you're buying a Tesla. I mean, the Roadster isn't nearly that much more expensive than this current version of the Taycan. Like that, think about that for a second. You're comparing this car, and it's really only about $15,000 more to get the Tesla Roadster. One more thing, if you have not subscribed to the channel already, I do a lot of stock related videos. If you've not subscribed to the channel, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button down below. I do talk a lot about Teslas. It's one of my favorite things to talk about if it's not about stocks. Love to get your subscription down below. Super simple and easy.
You have a little button on the ceiling, you can push it, and that turns on the reading lights so you can read while you're being whisked around on the racetrack in your electric Porsche.
Oh my gosh, how crazy, Doug. You have map lights in the back seat. I wonder who else has map lights. Oh, I don't know, just probably about every other manufacturer. Woo!
Let's take a listen to that exhaust note.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, yeah, it's an electric car. I like that.
It's time to get it out on the road and see how it drives. All right, driving the Taycan. I'm going to start by just punching. Whoa.
That face right there is the reason you buy an electric vehicle. That is one thing that I will say, no matter whether it's a Porsche, whether it's a Tesla, there is nothing like driving an electric vehicle. It is almost like a complete sensory overload when you've driven a car for multiple years and you go from a gasoline engine vehicle to a electric vehicle. It puts the fun back in things. And not that, you know, performance vehicles don't, you know, that are gasoline, but there is just something about punching the pedal and how quick the acceleration happens. Like, that says it all, and that's what I love.
I have to say, after it gets going, it feels about like a really fast gas car, but that first burst, that's about the craziest flooring I've ever felt. You're hanging on for dear life.
Has he not driven a Model S though, or like a P100D? Has he never put a Tesla in ludicrous mode? Like, this is again the thing that like bothers me about this review is he hasn't really apparently actually felt the acceleration of a Model S P100D. Put that sucker in ludicrous mode. I'm fairly certain that 2.28 0 to 60 in the Model S is faster, and we haven't even seen the plaid version of the Model S. It's going to be coming out fairly soon with a tri-motor in that Model S. Increased range. That sucker is going to smoke. Yes, I said smoke this Taycan.
Steering too is clearly really top notch. Tesla's steer great. They have a really tight ratio. They steer real quick. But one thing that this car does that like the Model 3 Performance I recently drove.
Wait. He's comparing the Model 3 Performance to the Taycan? You're kidding me. You cannot compare a $185,000 car to a $50,000 car. Like, let's just keep watching the video. I can't argue with that. I can't win. I can't argue with that.
Anyway, now it's time to give the Taycan Turbo S a Doug score. Starting with the weekend categories and styling, the Taycan Turbo S is nice looking, though a bit controversial and not exactly classically beautiful, and it gets a 7 out of 10. Acceleration is insane, as you could see. It does 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, which easily earns it a 10 out of 10. Handling is sharp, though not quite as sharp as my very favorite 4-door cars, and it gets a 6 out of 10. Fun factor is huge, given the acceleration and the handling, and it gets an 8 out of 10. Cool factor is huge right now, and it easily earns an 8 out of 10 for a total weekend score of 39 out of 50. Next up are the daily categories and features. The Taycan has a lot of great tech, but it's not quite the best, and it earns an 8 out of 10. Comfort is normal for the class, and it gets a 7 out of 10. Quality is very high, and it earns an 8 out of 10. Practicality is average due to the 4 seats and small trunks, and it gets a 5 out of 10. Finally, value, and this car is really impressive, but it's also really pricey. $185,000 is just insane money, and that's before options. It's so expensive, and it gets a 5 out of 10 for a total daily.
You guys, I had no idea that $185K is before options. Like, oh my gosh, like, it's not even in the same category. Not even in the same category as the Model S, in my opinion. You could buy a Model S and a fully loaded Model 3 and apparently add options to this, and you would still be paying more for both those cars together. Like, what was Porsche thinking? They're just so cool that they can release a car with worse specs but have a little bit better fit and finish, and they can charge, oh, I don't know, 80 grand more than their closest competitor? I don't understand that whatsoever, but let's keep rolling. All right, you guys, and there you have it. That was the review of Doug DeMuro's Porsche Taycan. Honestly and truly, like I said, I think it was very important to kind of hear his take on it. Obviously, my feelings are a little bit different. Granted, I've not driven that particular car. I've driven similar cars. I really do feel like the Porsche Panamera is very similar and comparable, especially the high performance hybrid version that I drove. But all in all, honestly and truly, I don't know how you can compare a car of that caliber and with that kind of specs. Now that I'm thinking about more of this, and after watching that very end of the video, I believe that the cost of the Panamera that I drove was $213,000. Jared Brown, if you're watching this, comment down below. Let me know if that was $213,000 or not. But the cost to me is not worth it, does not nearly merit that kind of numbers, especially when you're going to get less range. Your 0 to 60 is not nearly as quick. You do not have the charging infrastructure that Tesla has, and there's just more features and tech. I've not obviously seen the app, if there is an app for the Porsche, but the app that the Tesla have is just so useful. The fact that you have 5 seats as opposed to 4. Yes, you can get 4 seats in that in the Taycan, but you can also get 7 seats, I believe. Still, don't know if you still can actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, but I believe you might be able to still get 7 seats in a Model S, although I don't know why you ever would do that. But that does bring me to the point that the trunk is that big. The trunk is big enough in a Model S that you could do that. The frunk is much bigger. Like, there are so many more practicality features. And again, we have not even seen the plaid version of the Model S that is going to have tri-motor. It's not just going to be a dual motor like the current P100D version of the Model S and the Model 3 are. It's going to have 3 motors, and based on what Elon has said, when it went to the track at the Nürburgring in Germany, it smoked. It just completely destroyed the Taycan, and that's my take on this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Comment down below, what are your thoughts? Do you think you're ever going to buy one of these? Would you buy a Tesla over this? What are your thoughts? I'd love to know down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.